everyone, and welcome to Alzheimer's Speaks Radio. I'm your host, Laurie LeBay, and I'm so excited that you're joining us today. We are going to have a fascinating conversation as usual as we learn from people all around the world at all ages and stages of life. Stay tuned as we shift our dementia care from crisis to comfort.
Here we go. What you think about, you will bring about dementia change. We will.
Alzheimer's Speaks wants to welcome you to a special edition called Dementia Chats, where you will hear directly from the true experts, those living with a form of dementia. Well, hi, everyone, and welcome back to Dementia Chats. I'm Laurie LeBay, founder of Alzheimer's Speaks. My mom had dementia for 30 years, and I created Dementia Chats so we could hear the voice of people living with dementia. I think it's critical that we pay attention and take seriously their insights of how they want to be treated and how they adapt to living well with dementia. And so today we've kind of gone round and round before we went live on trying to figure out a topic, and we zoned in on how their communication has changed, their communication strategies. And so we're going to be doing that topic, and we'll see what else evolves as we speak. But first, we're going to have everybody introduce themselves. Ginger, do you want to go first, please?
Oh, sure. I'm Ginger, and I live in glorious Northern California. Communication is really important to me because I am a retired speech-language pathologist, and that was my area of expertise. But now with mild cognitive impairment, I have problems, especially like coming up with words and listening. So I'm interested very much in this topic. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Cate, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, my name is Cate Lau. I live in Illinois. I'm a local advocate here in my little town of Urbana. And also, I was diagnosed in 2012 with early onset dementia of the Alzheimer's type, but that was a misdiagnosis. I was on medication for 2 years where my physical health declined drastically, and with that, my mental and emotional health. So I asked for a retest from a neuropsych, whereby the diagnosis was BVFTD, behavior variable frontotemporal dementia. And it is, you hear more about it now since Bruce Willis had made headlines many, many times and other celebrities. But at that time, I was always asked, is this Alzheimer's and all those kinds of questions? But now it is. I'm glad that more people know about it. And that's about it. And I'm living well with my dementia and other illnesses that come along after that. Thank you.
Thank you. Laurie?
Hi, I'm Laurie Scherrer. I live in Northern Alabama, and I was diagnosed in 2013 with early onset Alzheimer's and FTD. And I'm doing well. This is Little Dog. She is my service dog, and she's doing well too.
Great, thank you. True?
Truthful Loving Kindness with Lewy body symptoms and cerebrovascular disease in Northern California, Redwood Coast.
Okay, thank you. Craig?
My name is Craig Hanke from Wisconsin. I was diagnosed in 2014 with Lewy body dementia and Parkinson's. That's since been downgraded. They eliminated the Parkinson's. As of 6 months ago, it was mild cognitive impairment with Lewy body traits. And interestingly enough, with the topic you chose, I saw the sleep doctor neurologist yesterday, and because of how I communicate now, they're changing my diagnosis once more. They're not sure to what. It's going to be some type of dementia, but they don't think it's Lewy anymore. Happy to be here. I'm an advocate with Laurie LeBay here, Dementia Action Alliance, and also Dementia Mentors.
Gosh, I think you're going to get the badge for the most changed diagnosis.
Yeah.
How frustrating. Thank you, Craig. Karen, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Karen Creekmoore. Was diagnosed 2014, initially with Alzheimer's, changed a year later to unspecified symptoms of dementia, and currently mild neurodegenerative disorder with probable dementia. So I'm behind. I'm sorry, I'm behind Greg, but I'm trying to catch up, Craig. I'm from Corpus Christi. I am an advocate here with our local dementia-friendly Corpus Christi group and help with the virtual dementia tours. Also a part of Dementia Mentors and DAA and Teepa Snow and Laurie, which helps keep me going. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you. Well, as we were talking earlier, people were saying, can you send me this, but don't do it this way, do it this way. I don't use these tools anymore. And I found that really interesting because everyone is a little bit different in terms of what modes they like to use, if phone or Zoom or email or text or in person, all of those factors. And I think so often it's overlooked, and communication is key, to living well. I don't care if you've got dementia or not, you need to be communicated in a mode that works for you. And so I think this is a topic that, needs to be brought, more out to the forefront, and things need to adapt as they need to change to make sure that line of communication is open. So, True, I'm going to go to you first, if that's okay. And if you can talk about how your mode of communication has changed over the years with your diagnosis.
I worked a lot in tech within the accounting departments of my working years. So I was familiar with the technologies, but now I don't have a reliable email that I can get into on a predictable basis. And the main thing that I use is Facebook Messenger, the private messenger part. It's really, and for quite a few of my dementia friends, it's good.
So really bringing it all in to one central area instead of having all these different things to have to check makes it easier. Now, if I'm not mistaken, to also with you, True, is audio is hard for you without having the video. And I think that's something that most people don't understand. Well, why, if you can hear me here, why can't you hear me on the phone?
Yeah, and it doesn't work.
And can you?
I mean, there's a few. I can still understand my mom and my sister, usually, but different voices, accents, and then it's just sound that I'm trying to figure out what the sounds are, but they're not going together for words and thought process.
I remember you saying, when I did the radio show, you couldn't do audio. You could only do the video ones. And that's for participating and that's for listening both. And I don't think a lot of families or even people with dementia understand that originally, that change can occur. And
It's in the temporal lobe.
well, thank you. Craig, I'm sorry, we'll go to Laurie. She's got her hand raised.
I have the same thing as True in that I'm much better when I'm on a Zoom or where I have video and audio. But to me, it totally makes sense because we read a lot of what somebody is saying based on their body language. When someone is angry, they'll do this. When someone's bored, they'll kind of do this. And we read what they're saying by body language as well as what they're speaking. So part of being on a video is not necessarily that we're hearing everything they said, but we're interpreting it. Just like little dog knows a few words in sign language. Because for me, when I forget how to speak words, I can sign them and remember them sometimes because it's visual. And so that, being able to see and hear are an important mixture of what helps our head to relate to what's being, so we can interpret it correctly. I'm the opposite of True in that I can't do Facebook anymore. I get on every once in a while, but Facebook gets me very agitated, gets me confused because I can't follow all these things that are running down the screen, and half of them I don't know the people, and yet they're all posting and I'm like, I don't know who to read and who not to read, and it just really, I probably go on about once a month.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not on regular Facebook very much anymore at all. It's only the private messenger part. I've got the app that goes on my devices for just the private messenger. And that's what I use.
Okay. One thing I want to add on to Laurie's comment about body language. I remember one time Harry Urban, who is one of our panelists as well. And he really made the point that he reads lips. He's like, I never knew I read lips before. And he's like, but now that, my faculties aren't as sharp with my dementia, I rely on lip reading along with all of that, emotional body language, that we are given off. And I think so many people a lot of us just believe it's our words. It's just our words, but then you hear people catch you all the time going, well, you just rolled your eyes, or you just sighed, or you just did something. And people that is something we all do, but we take all that stuff for granted. And when dementia comes into play, I think it's really important to understand the role that it takes. Cate, you were going to make a comment?
Yes. From what Laurie said about Facebook and True's experience with, difficulties with Facebook, I'm getting to be that way. I've got I don't know how many people wanting to join Forget Me Not, and I'm way behind, not only because I go for my treatments, at the hospital, but also reading other people's posts can trigger some emotional things in me that I don't like about myself. I say, am I jealous of this person? Why am I getting all hateful about this post? And I feel so drained after being on Facebook for just a little while. I feel like all this energy is, taken away from me because I don't know, it's heavy. Facebook is becoming very heavy, and I don't know how long more I'm going to last, but I did take 2 years off Facebook. My goodness, it was great. But that's my personal Facebook, which I hardly ever go to anymore. That's where the problem is. The heaviness is where there's a lot of personal interactions and each other thing. Whereas for my dementia Facebook only, I have 2. Don't tell Google. Yeah, right. That is easier for me. because we speak the same language, yeah. It's easier to understand than personal friends and all that. That is almost like that's another life. That's very difficult for me. So that's all I want to say, my 2 cents worth.
Well, that's interesting. So you actually have 2 Facebook groups?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was afraid when I first was diagnosed that I might accidentally post something on to my other friends, my personal friends, that's with these groups that are so private, you know what I mean? So that's how it started. I have 2 Facebooks yet.
Well, one of the things that I find interesting too is, I met so many of you through a Facebook group. And in the beginning, that's kind of how so many people connect, initially when first diagnosed. And how it can be really helpful. But I also know in our day and age, communication and what people say and how they say it has changed an awful lot too, which impacts kind of the mood of the group per se, I guess, and what the goals are, and so that's been interesting to watch too. And I think it's important to get a good fit with that. True, you mentioned in the comment that body language now is just a huge part for both your input and your output for communication with you. So when you're talking output, can you explain what you mean by that? Is that for yourself expressing body language more?
Finding even the start of a sentence structure is difficult. And so a lot of what I'm trying to communicate, I end up communicating in movements and in not exaggerated body language, but more using it as a tool.
Okay, thank you. Karen, how about you?
Well, here I am. It's really difficult for me to be in groups. I'm having a hard time. I relate to everybody, but what True was saying, and to me, more of an animation when I'm speaking, I get more feeling, more personalization out of it, if that makes sense. And I can't follow everything. But we're talking about communication. I also go to 12-step groups. The only communication I have with dementia people living with dementia is on Zoom. I am progressively losing that ability to listen to all the heads. I used to host another group, and right now I can still co-host, but I can't follow and kind of make things flow and make sure, and that's very sad for me. But my deal with in-person and Zoom, with any kind of group I'm in, is I need and have to be socialized. I have to be in a social situation. I cannot lose being social, because then I'm with myself and I'm up shit creek, sorry, that's a bad word, I think. I'm in trouble without support and also advocacy, giving back. I'm part of the virtual dementia tour and Dementia Friends information session that we have in Corpus Christi. But I only read the instructions and I speak at the end, kind of thing. So it's important for me to still give back, but also I need that support, and I need support in all areas of all my things that go along with me. I also wear earplugs now, and I know there's probably better hearing things or whatever, but when I go into an in-person meeting, all I hear are people breathing and the air conditioner and multiple people, and I don't know. And they are, yes, True. and they are, it's a structured meeting to where one person speaks, but I don't go early and socialize because it made me so uncomfortable I almost quit going. So I go after the meeting starts, and I'm able to focus with my, not completely, and it looks like I'm being rude. How come you're wearing earplugs? Nobody says that, but it helps me to focus on one person and listen. Sadly, or yeah, whatever, I don't remember. And so what I used to be able to do was add input in my, and I don't. So what I do is enjoy in the moment. And so I'm still able to gain everything, the smiles, the camaraderie, even though I don't stay very long. It's so important for me to have that balance, if you will. And then time passing. I'm not aware of time passing. And so we were talking about Facebook. I have a problem of clicking. I do notifications. Just if somebody sends me a notification, I can click on it. But if I don't have an alarm set, 5 minutes might be 3 hours for me, unless I have a 15-minute, so I have to be careful with that. And anyway, it's all about, for me, living in the moment and having that gratitude and living as well as I can and giving back.
So, question for you. You mentioned you kind of put a time limit on yourself. Are you worried you're not going to get other things done, or you're going to go down a rabbit hole on Facebook? Or
well, I do go down rabbit holes. I am a rabbit hole. If I can just do that, but I have 15-minute alarms, and True and I've talked about that before, and it's not an alert, and it's not, oh my God, what am I supposed to do? But it's just like, I might be scrolling, and then my alarm goes off, and I look, and it just says QA, which means quick alarm, and that triggers my brain to say, okay, are you doing something that you really want to be doing, or should you be you want to do something else? It's just this or something else. It's not, and it might be an appointment, those kind of things. So they're specific, and I have to make them, so that's what helps keep me. But then right now I don't have forward thinking. I don't even know what I'm supposed to do after this is over. But I do have my Samsung Notes, and it tells me. So that's kind of where I am.
okay, thank you. I had not heard of the kind of 15-minute ding, to just double check yourself.
It's a creaky thing. So.
Craig, how about you? How are you doing with communication?
First, I don't know if I should feel like the odd man out or lucky that I'm surrounded by ladies here. I also use that same type of thing that Creaky is talking about with my dietitian calls me the poster child for dehydration. So I have alarms set for me to drink water, and it won't shut up until I drink the water and record what I'm drinking. So I use my phone. If it wasn't from my phone, I'd be lost. It's my directory, it's my Bible, it's my note taker, it's map, it's everything. To piggyback on what True is saying, though, I have two therapists that I see for different things, and they both, one went virtual, complete virtual meetings. And I said, well, I'll have to find someone else then. And then the other one said, I'm going to go virtual as well. I said, well, then I'm going to have to find someone else. And they said, both said, why do you have to do that? I said, well, for one thing, I was a Stephen minister in my church, and we used to meet with a person that had just lost a loved one or facing a divorce or just some kind of trial in life. And we were taught to watch for body language. And I told this therapist, I said, if I'm on the screen like here, you can't see me wringing my hands. You can't see me crossing my legs or getting nervous or agitated. I said, so you're going to be of no help to me. And the one therapist said, you know what? I never thought of that. I should have in my profession. We're going to continue the one-on-one meetings where I go there and meet. And I think a lot of that is being lost in these virtual appointments now, and they're getting to be, I think, more popular. I know True has, if we're on a chat with True and she can't see someone's, a lot of people like hide kind of behind the screen bottom. She'll ask them to move their screen so she can see their lips moving, or else she can't understand them fully. And I think I'm kind of getting that same way too. But just yesterday, I saw the sleep doctor neurologist. I'm having sleeping issues again. And they have a questionnaire when you get there or before you get there, and it says, how do you like to communicate? By pictures, by words, by doing. I can't remember them all, but I just said yes. And I got there, and it was a doctor and a student helping out the actual doctor, and he said, when you answer these questions, you just said yes. And I said, exactly, it's yes, it's all of the above, depending on what day it is. Because there are certain days where I can read something and it does me no good. There are other days where I can look at something on the wall and read it, or have a note in front of me and it makes perfect sense. The next day that might not that may not work. So I said yes, it's all of the above. But I think it's key to be able to see people, because body language can tell a lot about a person, what they're going through, and how they're dealing with the situation.
That's an excellent point about these meetings and not being able to see everything that have gone virtual, for our doctors and things. I don't know if people have thought about that as much. And I just think of even my granddaughter, she switched her therapist meeting during COVID to being online. And we noticed a difference in terms of what was happening. But I never put that together that I did, but I guess not to the level that you just pointed it out on how important that is. So I think that is really, really valuable information, because we can hide a lot. I mean, that's, I think, part of the problem with the internet is it doesn't give the whole story.
Well, a lot of that started with COVID, even our church attendance. Mm-hmm. Now people can sit home in their pajamas and watch church on TV. So our in-person attendance is almost cut in half. I know Laurie Scherrer, and Little Dog, she's busier than a woodchuck in a woodchuck field. I'm still waiting for her to continue her sign language training that she was doing. She was doing that as part of, I think it was Dementia Mentors, and it was an interesting thing to learn, and I think people could use that as well.
Laurie, do you want to add on to what Craig's referring to?
First off, Craig, that is starting up, and my two nieces who have both their parents are deaf are going to be coming on to help teach it. So you'll hear about that shortly. I just want to do up some flyers and see if I can get some other dementia organizations involved, because I think it's great for people newly diagnosed and their care partners to learn just 20 basic sign languages. So we will be doing that. But I did want to add to that, because we were talking about how you don't see everything on Zoom. People don't see my agitation towel, which is on my lap all the time. So as I'm frustrated or agitated, I can smile away and nobody knows that meanwhile I'm doing this on my lap. So you're right in that Zoom does take away a lot of the one-on-one, seeing the full body language. It really does. It takes away from some of that. But Craig, I'll tell you, I wish I live in Alabama, in cow country, and I wish I could find some doctors that will do virtual, because none of them will. And I drive, and I just had 6 shots in my back yesterday. I've got to drive an hour and a half back in 2 weeks for them to say, "How you feeling?" "Okay, great, go ahead." And meanwhile, you've got a bad back and you're driving an hour and a half. Oh, yeah. But they won't do virtual here. I think the virtual has its place sometimes, but for a therapist, I can see where that is. Yeah, you're not really seeing the whole person.
Yeah.
So,
Craig, you had a comment?
Yeah, you also can't see I'll call it my dang it doll. It's got a different word, but I'll keep it clean. It's called my dang it doll, and this is from Laurie Scherrer, friend of mine, and it says, whenever things don't go so well and you want to hit the wall and yell, here's a little dang it doll that you can't do without. Just grasp it firmly by the legs and find a place to slam it. And as you whack the stuffing out, yell, dang it, dang it, dang it. So with all the political commercials, I use this a lot now.
Okay. Well, that's cute. That's cute. Ginger, I want to pull you in, being a, speech pathologist and stuff, and going through this yourself. I'm really interested to hear your comments on how communication has changed for you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, 4 years ago, I was in a nursing home with aphasia. I couldn't talk or understand. I'm still having problems. Heartbreakingly, my sister had a massive stroke, and although her wonderful husband Zooms with me at least once a week, I can't understand her, and it's just breaking my heart because she was my best friend, and that's my field of expertise, as you call it. But it's just heartbreaking. I do want to say that Zoom, I think, saved my life. When I came home, I was ghosted. I was so lonely, and some wonderful volunteers introduced me to Zoom, and it just brought the world back into me. It made me realize, and I love the statement, if you met one person with dementia, you met one person with dementia, because we are all so different, especially all our multiple diagnoses. Oh my gosh, Craig, I've been through that too. Right now it's MCI, but I've got Parkinson's and Lewy and the whole thing. But communication. Oh, and I love Facebook. I'm obsessed with Facebook. I need to go off it more, but I've learned a lot from it. I really have. They have some wonderful programs, and you can pick up some really good advice on it. And Dementia Minds and some of the other groups. Some of the caregiver communication groups, so that they really can be heartbreaking. One just the other day was describing their loved one as crazy, and I don't like that. We're not crazy. We have a brain disease. We're not mental patients, and it struck me that so many of them think that what we do, the bad things we do, like refusing to eat or refusing showers and stuff, are just malicious and mean. They're not. We can't control them, and we have reasons. Like I refuse to take a shower because my skin is so thin at 86. A water pressure or changes of temperature just makes me crazy. And it wasn't because I was being mean and hateful that I refused. I had reasons. And so, well, like I keep going on because communication is such an important thing with me. And, my frustration with my sister, who I love deeply, is it's just hard for me because I love what her husband does. I love that I see her, but I can't understand her. so I just chat her on, and I just give her all the love I can. That I truly do love her, and I'm working on it. And and I need the visual. Yeah, that's very important. Like Truth says, it's both. It's two ways. I mean, I read lips. Fortunately, I can do that because hearing is definitely it's just going. And thank goodness for Zoom. Saved my life, like I said. So
Yeah.
thanks.
It's nice that more people have gotten comfortable. They were kind of forced into getting comfortable with Zoom over the pandemic, because it has been a huge plus. There's two questions that I want to ask you guys, that I think are important. And one is, what is your ideal technology to communicate with? So is it, like Craig said, it was his phone, but some people are iPads, some people are, a computer. I'm interested in that, because I think that I don't think families always understand different apparatus can make a difference in terms of how you communicate. So, Ginger, I'm going to go ahead and start with you. What is your preference? And maybe you use more than one. That's fine. Ginger?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sometimes definitely. I have this phone, fortunately, that has captioning. Thank goodness, because if I didn't, I can't understand a word on a telephone. But I think maybe emails I can understand and read. And what it does, this phone is it records the conversation. So, like, say with a doctor or something that's really important, I can go back and read it over again, and then even write it down what I've read, and to refer it. And then when I call back, or I need to follow instructions, I've got it there solidly. So that's been a wonderful invention for me.
Kate, how about you? Do you have a preference, phone or computer or iPad?
Yes, I do. Actually, my iPhone, I cannot live without. My notes are there, like Craig says. Everything is here. My reminders, everything. And I always have it. It's like 24/7. Seriously. And the next would be my laptop. And iPad, I actually use my iPad for writing.
Okay.
So I split things up. This iPhone is so important to me. I lost touch with my brother for 30 something years, and we just got in touch, and through Zoom, no, WhatsApp. I've had WhatsApp for a very long time, years and years. When my son was serving in Kosovo, those years, that's how long Bosnia was. And I had WhatsApp because it's free and we could get together all the time, and see him there. But the sad thing is, my brother, he doesn't want to see doctors, so there's no way that he could be diagnosed for dementia, but I diagnosed him. I'm the expert, right? So I can have a say-so. He has FTD, big time bad. And just as we reconnect, he's just suddenly not able to, very, very, like 3 months ago, he suddenly went downhill. He's horrible to live with. My poor sister-in-law, oh my God. And also the culture is already very difficult, in today's age, to be just like, my brother now cannot put his medication in, no, take care of it. Everything just suddenly crashed. And so my sister-in-law and I have been communicating this past 2 years, but last year to now, especially, she has no help. She has no one to talk to about dementia. Over in other countries in Asia, it's still like, something is wrong mentally and all that. So we are helping each other. I become closer to the family than I've ever been in a long time, because this is the one sibling that I have. We were raised together by a spinster aunt, so we were her children. So I feel so thankful that I'm involved with advocacy and support groups here on Zoom and all kinds of things. Because without that, today, I wouldn't know how to help my brother who doesn't want to see a doctor.
Okay. Well, good. Thank you. True. How about you? What is your favorite technology to use? Phone or computer or iPad?
With my tremors, the phone is not very useful for me anymore because I can't. My thumbs. It's continually misguessing what I'm trying to do. But I use my iPad loads and loads. I never had an iPad until a few years ago. But
voice to text.
Oh, and voice to text. I use, sometimes it's not worth it because you got to spend so much trying to get in and repair all of their misunderstandings. But oh, I hate hiccups. They hurt so bad. Okay, I use my iPad loads and loads for Facebook, for art project, and for YouTube music and tutorials. I do a lot of art, but I have to watch the tutorials pretty regularly in order to do it. And also, I wanted to say Facebook is my primary contact with others who have dementia. So even though I have a lot of problems with Facebook buttons and all that, one of the biggest things is so much of technology is going to icons. I can't remember what the icons mean, and there's nothing telling you what they mean. And so then I've deleted and I've Mickey Moused everything. Okay. Also, Facebook tells me when tutorials are available for my art projects, for like, because like there's groups that the gal that I get my brushes from that tell the computer how to react to the Apple Pencil, make it like an oil brush, make it like watercolor wet on wet, make it like a dry brush, make it, it tells the computer how to respond to the movements, even the movements like this or the pressure. When you go like this, it'll have a thick line and a thin line depending on your pressure when you were using the Apple Pencil. Now I forget what the gist of what I was saying. Did I answer your question?
Yep. We were talking about what technology is most helpful for you. So that was great. Creaky, how about you? What do you rely on?
First of all, with with everyone, but I'm just blown away with her abilities to communicate. And I do Android, but just her description, your description is true. The pressure, and I'm like, oh my God, that's just TMI. That's too much information. But I love it. And I love that we are all different and we all have our own qualities and specialties and all that kind of stuff. My best communication is with my cell phone texting. I can talk on the phone, but it has to be just basic social chit chat. If you need me to remember anything or to reply, I ask that person to send me a text as a reminder, because my immediate memory is pretty much shot. My recent memory is pretty much shot. My memory sucks. Anyway, sorry. so that is my best way. Also, again, I do Facebook just to read, and maybe I'll put a little smiley face just to stay in contact. And maybe, but I'm when I look at my cell phone, this is I don't see if it's from Dementia Mentors, or it doesn't tell me. It's just my cell phone has a bunch of stuff, and I don't know where it's coming from. And once I leave, I don't know how to get back to it. And so I try not to be overwhelmed with that and just read and enjoy in the moment. And then if I do have people's contacts and stuff. The other way is the personal Facebook Messenger. I can text like with True, text on those personal, but not on the big groups, because I can't find that. I can't find where I sent the text. Everything's too big for me. So those are my main things. Thanks.
Great. Craig, how about you?
I said my cell phone is my everything. I use it. I have an online Bible on there that I use at Bible study. You can either read it or to read it to you. Before the cell phones got real technical, if I was working on a vehicle, for instance, and used to be able to do that, if you're doing a brake job, for instance, you would take a picture of it before you started, so you know what it was supposed to look like when you were done. And you would do that. You take a picture one side and go work on the other side, and then come back. I use that a lot now, though. When we bought our car, for instance, I don't drive anymore, but I'm the official radio operator. To program it and to set the OnStar thing in the direction thing, it was just, as I said, again, if I read the manual, forget it. I might as well not have even read it. But I'll ask the salespeople, can I film you explaining this? And 99% of them say, sure, no problem. And that comes in handy because I can go back to that video then and see how they did it. My wife wanted to buy a pistol. Okay, so while the guy was explaining how to clean it, I actually asked him if I could tape how you take it apart, how you do this, and it comes in very handy for that kind of thing, especially because, like I said, reading something to me now. I'm trying to learn guitar. I can learn a chord, and the next day it's gone. I got to start all over again. But if I have a video to return to, it works. And then I have reminders all over my phone for different events, meetings, because I'm involved in several dementia groups, Lions Club, a lot of stuff in church. So I have reminders set up like an hour before, get in the shower, get ready for this, that, whatever. So I would be totally lost without that phone. Sometimes my wife has to help me put information in because I forget how to do that, but I use it as a reference guide, I guess, if you want to call it that, a lot.
Great. Laurie, how about you?
I have a cell phone, but it's generally plugged in and in my office because, I tried to bury it in the garden. I put it in the washing machine. When I have something that I carry with me, I'm not very good with it. So I basically use it for messages, and that's about it. I have a house phone, regular old-fashioned landline with 4 phones throughout the house. So those are safer for me. But my iPad is my life. My iPad is my calendar, my books on tape, just everything is on my iPad. The games I play, the music I use to help me calm down, it's all there. So That's real important to me. However, I don't like doing my email on my iPad because it's different than email on my laptop, and I have to think to do things on the iPad because the layout is different than it is on the laptop. So I'll do short messages on the iPad, but for emails, I'm generally on my laptop. But yeah, my iPad is like, gotta have it.
Okay, sounds good. One last question, and I want to just do this really quickly because I think this is interesting too, is what is your preference for a doctor to communicate with you? Is it to communicate through you or through your care partner? And then what device? And Laurie, I'm going to go first with you.
Well, I have a doctor that sends me text messages all the time. I hate that. I absolutely hate it. Because if I have a question about what you're putting in here, then I've got to text back. Just give me a daggum phone call. Forget this text thing. And for a while, I was telling people, sorry, I don't have a cell phone. Well, they start saying, well, you have to have a cell phone. No, I don't have to have a cell phone. What do you mean I have to have a cell phone? So I don't like that. But generally, down here, the doctors don't talk to you much by phone. We're making you an appointment to come to the office. For what? Just, they want you at the office all the time. But basically, whenever I'm on the phone or at the doctor, Rory's with me. So it's the two of us together. So
okay.
I like that preference. My preference is both of us together so we can hold hands. Okay. That's it.
Craig, how about you? Do you have a preference on how the doctor should communicate with you?
Definitely through my wife, because they'll ask me about medications, and I was like, I just direct them to her because I don't have a clue. And there again, though, yesterday I recorded the whole session, and it was an hour and 10-minute doctor visit. So yeah, I need that second ear because I can't remember what they tell me. But I like the messaging thing. I can go back messaging back and forth. With this physical therapist, for instance, right now I can tell her that I'm not going to be there Friday because I had this back issue, so I can't do physical therapy. And I actually like that because along with that, they send you a reminder about your appointment, and there's just a button you put to add to your calendar, and it puts it on your phone automatically. And I like that. So, but definitely through a second person, that's like a witness.
Okay, true.
Okay, text messages from doctor. I cannot jump through the hoops to do all their privacy precautions, so I can't access those. If I could, it would probably be one of the most effective things for me, because seeing it and then being able to see it again and see it again and see it again. But I can't. And if they call or anything, they definitely need to talk to Guy because I can't do the telephone. Is that answering the question?
Yep, it sure is. Creaky, how about you?
I'm an in-person person. I live alone. Unless I'm having a major problem, I go see my doctor, 6-month checkup, and I get blood work done. I can do all of that. If I'm not having any issues, I used to record when I first got diagnosed because I thought, I'm going to forget everything when I had cancer and stuff. And I've never, not once, listened to these long recordings, and I don't even know where they are anymore. So my deal is I take my med list, I go by myself. I recently lost my Medicaid care provider. I lost my Medicaid, and I do have my backup brain who can go with me if I need that person. But if somebody is even there with me, I want the doctor to speak to and with me, and have, if I'm there for a specific reason, to have my backup brain, my backup brain with me to fill in. But please look at me and speak with me. And we are all different, and this is just where I am right now. So I definitely need the assistance but look at me first.
I've fired two or maybe three doctors because they quit talking to me.
Very important. Cate, how about you? How do you like doctors to communicate with you?
So this 2 years, my health has changed very, very much. And the doctors I see are, my oncologist, and I see her once every 21 days. And I like that, but I also go through moments of my FTD where I've lived a very sedentary, and thought I'll never use that word for myself, and isolated life. So all my doctors are told that if they don't need to see me, please get me on telehealth. True, that's what you should be doing. I think that you'd be comfortable with telehealth, like Zoom with your doctor, instead of going to see them or texting. Maybe you can have Zoom with your doctors. Well,
I feel that body language is extremely important in communication.
Yes,
so I basically would not be comfortable with that.
Not comfortable with Zoom, yeah?
Not for with the doctor, not instead of in person.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I was thinking that since Zoom is, okay with you, then maybe that would be an option. But anyway, for me, I like that. Also, this 2 months ago, I lost one of my favorite doctors. He's my psychiatrist for 15 years. He died. And so now I don't do telehealth, and I seldom see doctors because I'm mostly, taken care of by my oncologist now. So I just go down there and see him.
Okay.
Oh, the rest are all communication through my health portal. Everything is text. Like I want an appointment, I want to take out some of my medication from there. I don't like this, and I get immediate replies. So I like that, the texting part.
Ginger, how about you?
What everybody's saying, True and Creaky and all, is that in person, and if they speak directly to me, and if my care partner happens to be there, they always want to look at the other person. And these are doctors, these are specialists. You have to ask, please speak to me. And it takes a lot of guts to say that to a doctor, but I do when that happens. So that's my favorite, the in person, the body language. You can't see everything with Zoom. When it's in person, you can really see the whole body and how they express things, the mood. Maybe their words don't match the body language, and that's important too, is you want to get the whole thing. And then, of course, Zoom is the next best. And then, and I say my phone does record, so I can go back and read what was said to me. It only records actually what's said to you. It doesn't record you, but that's the most important part. So I'll go for that. And the last choice maybe is I do a lot of stuff with like a Gmail email. I ask people to email me rather than contact me in the other way, because that's the easiest for me. Okay. So that's how it goes.
Thank you. Craig, you had your hand up.
Yeah, with technology the way it is, my doctors just started with this new, you have to have an ID when you get there in person. Now they have a 2-step identification thing, but they send you a text, and you have to have your birth date, zip code. It's all kinds of goofy stuff, and I'm hoping they don't go to what, when I had the spinal leads put in, I had to see a psychiatrist first. And I was like, why? And they said, well, it's part of the process. And this psychiatrist put me through 365 of the strangest questions I've ever answered. It took over 3 hours to do it, and it was very, I guess I found out after the fact they could have split that up. But I asked this representative of the device they put in why I had to go through that. And he said, welcome to the new age of health insurance. He says you're going to see that more and more often on things now, and not all that's going to do is put a strain on people with dementia.
Interesting. Well, once again, this has been a really great conversation, wonderful insight. So I want to thank our panelists for sharing their preferences and their insights. I found it really, really helpful and very enlightening. I'm sure our audience will too. And for our audience, I always ask you to be a giver of hope, like, click, and share. Let other people see this video. Again, we need to be talking with the people diagnosed to know how to help them the best, and to give you ideas that you can see that each one of these people here today are different. And so, we've got to customize what's going to work for your particular person or patient or whoever it is you're working with. And hopefully you've gained some good knowledge today. I know I have. So thanks, everybody. Till next time. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Hey everybody, Jared Sebesti here, host of Retire Repurposed. This podcast is dedicated to help people transition into fulfilling and purposeful retirements. Retirement is a big life change. In fact, the two most dangerous years of a person's life are the year they were born and the year they retire. Few people could just flip the switch from working a career 30 or 40 plus years, retiring on Friday, without methodical steps to living what we call a repurposed retirement. To listen now, search Retire Repurposed on your favorite podcast platform, Senior Resource, or Life Audio.